So last time in the comment section down below, you guys voted for me to talk about XQC playing Winston. So here we are, and if there's any certain character you want me to talk about in the future, please leave a comment down below who the character is, who the player is, and I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. Now, as we're getting started right here, I want to say a few, beginner things about Winston. One, in the meta that we're playing right now, I don't feel like Dive Comp is the strongest comp in esports, 100% the best every single game, but if you're playing with 2 to 3 DPS and you got that Winston, you got that Lucio and Mercy, it can really work in competitive. And especially if your team's actually pushing up together, especially with like a Zarya, you can just stomp out teams just as easily as you could before, even though it's not quite as good in general. I think, like how meta kind of counteracts it or counts it, I guess. I think it's still a thing that you can definitely play through, and it shouldn't be way too hard for you. Now, when looking at Winston, the thing you kind of want to remember about this guy is that you're not really playing about mechanics way too much. Of course, you do have to know when to melee, you do have to know how to aim, how to track, everything like that. But when you're playing Winston, you want to more learn how to get callouts, where to stand, when to go in, when to go out. And overall, just knowing a lot about the character and knowing a lot about the game than just trying to outplay everybody. While you still can do some outplays, it's generally, you win by actually just doing a lot of really smart plays, other than doing a lot of really flashy plays. So, maybe that wasn't your type of character, but I feel like generally, it's still pretty fun. You can still really carry your team as we see this game. Tanks can carry your team. I want you to remember that. It's not just DPS, because even as a tank, as you see right here, you can still kill their backline really easily. Right there, we actually saw ourselves on the enemy backline, but we made sure to escape, and we made sure that we didn't waste our jump to try to jump towards the Mercy. We don't really do that way too often. We sometimes do it, or XQC does it sometimes, but he doesn't always instantly jump in the backline, instantly jump to the Mercy. Most of the time, he just tries to walk up, get next to the enemy Mercy, and if he can, he'll start to zap him, start to try to get a kill, and maybe if she's very low, he'll jump in and melee. That combo does, I think, around 90 damage or something. So, it's pretty good. But he doesn't just jump in out of nowhere and go in with the bubble and try to kill himself. He really does wait quite often, but it works out greatly for him. As well, when the Mercy is ulting, you can't really kill her way too much. When you have a Zarya on your team, as we see in this game, you want to make sure that you're a little bit more aggro than usual. Ask the Zarya to give you shields, just kind of go in. And when you go in, don't immediately put down your shield. Make sure to wait a second, take some damage, and then happen to put down your shield. As well, I'd say you should probably always do that, because you don't really need your shield out for the first second, and you kind of want to take like 100 to 200 damage anyways, because then your healers can heal that up, get some ult charge, and then you'll be fully healed by the time the enemies get through your shield. So you can kind of go for that. I feel like that just kind of works a little bit better as this character, other than just, hiding behind your shield and putting it down immediately after you go in, because you're just wasting ult charge essentially for your team. I guess you are kind of giving the enemy team ult charge, but with the Mercy ult and the way that it is right now, being probably the best ult in the game, I don't know, kind of take it as you will. Speaking of Mercy, when you see an enemy Mercy that's going too far, as XQC has seen a lot this game, please tell your team you're going in, tell your team you're going ham, everybody call it out, because if everybody knows that Mercy's, the person you guys got to go for, they're actually going to go for her. While often if you just kind of don't tell people where you're going, people just kind of don't do way too much. Right there, we saw something, we had the DPS next to us, so we went after the DPS. We could have jumped, or XQC could have jumped immediately at the Mercy, but he would have just immediately died. So he made the smarter move, and he fought the people close to him until he got the chance to go after the backline, finish off the Mercy, whatever, and then of course he got rezzed. And overall, worked out pretty well for us, so we could put that all together. Against Tracer and Genji, we also did see that he tried to finish them off with melees. Make sure to try to do that, especially against Tracer. You get off like a fourth of her health with a melee, and she can generally just kind of run away really quickly from you. If you can actually, use your stomp or use your jump or whatever, hit her, and then melee her, you can take out like half of her health. So you can actually burst her pretty quickly like that. Very hard to do because of her minuscule hitbox, but something you probably want to try to do at least. If you can, and especially against people with armor, if you can melee through their armor, that's even better. Right there again, we see a melee finishing off the Mercy before she can get away, so that's kind of nice. This game, we also see a lot of good ultimates with XQC. Generally, they aren't used to, just immediately tank at the beginning of a fight. He goes in, he tries to tank, and then if he feels like he's going to die, or if he wants to finish someone off, then he goes for his ultimate. You see when he is ulting, he essentially either hits people to walls and tries to finish them off like that, or hits them off cliffs, or stays next to his own backline and tries to push the enemy team away from his team while also tanking. Those are your three main ways to use your ult, and they all work out pretty well. They all allow you to just get a lot of space, get some kills, do whatever. just kind of look where you're positioned and go on from there, I guess. Yeah, don't be afraid to use your ult to stall or to finish off a low HP support. It's all pretty good. And then I guess finally, as we finish off this offense, which worked out pretty well. I guess not offense, it's King of the Hill. It's always offense. But as we finish that, I want to tell you guys to make sure to push up as much as possible if you're winning to try to keep the enemies staggered. If you can make so the enemies don't really have any time to kind of get ready, get up, and start pushing again, you can just stomp straight through them, honestly. Especially in King of the Hill, but most maps it works out. If they actually get their mojo together, if they get their time together, if they get their Junkrat, Reinhardt, Mercy, Ana, whatever comp together, it might become a little bit hard for you. You might start to die pretty quickly and you won't be in a great position. You'll have to jump in a little bit more. It won't be the best and you'll be in a bad position again. But if you can push up, then that doesn't really happen to you way too much. So, I don't know. I guess try to keep that up if you can. Right here we see, we go in there. We actually get to, first off, stop ourselves from dying from using the walls and the geometry, so that was a good idea. But as well, we used our shield, and it actually forced the Mei to waste her Icy Kill ability. So, do remember that it puts a ton of pressure on people, and allows our team to just generally help themselves. As well, we do block, or XQC blocks the Mei, so, you can't get frozen, so that's pretty nice as well, because Mei, Reaper, all these other characters can freeze you. It can be kind of a pain. And later on this game, we see a ton of counters to Winston coming out, but we still see XQC doing good as Winston. So I guess you can kind of say that, people counter Winston, but sometimes if you play well, they don't really counter him way too much. Also, if you do feel like you're kind of getting in a bad situation where you're getting kind of trapped, but you're not immediately going to die, just start to walk backwards, zap, walk backwards, put your shield down. Just don't waste your jump immediately, because if you can get backwards a little bit and then jump, you're going to be able to get further away, obviously, than if you just immediately jump backwards. Right here, we're waiting around a wall. XQC is trying to see whoever he can. I think Azari walks in first, so not really someone we want to go after. But then after that, we see the whole team. We can jump on the Hanzo. If we see the Mercy a little bit later, we can jump on her, jump on whoever. We do have our ultimate up, so we can play a lot better, or I guess a lot more offensive than normally. And that's exactly what he does. He walks in there. He's very far up there. Of course, he will die pretty quickly, but since he has his ultimate, he won't die really quickly. And, people can't really predict if you have your ultimate up way too much, so that kind of helps. And as well, if you ult and then you get a Zarya shield, that'll help you even more. Right here, we're standing on top of the base, doing whatever. We're kind of getting around them. I guess you could say that's a very valid strategy. This game, we do see that there's a Roadhog, and I think they switched to a Reaper later, which are two hard counters of this character. Get picked off right here, unfortunately for XQC. Winston just kind of dies. But even if you are facing your counters like Roadhog and whatever, you don't have to fear way too much. Essentially, what you want to do is to just try to stall them for a very long amount of time. Try to get as much healing as possible, but mainly try to let your DPS just kind of maul through that Roadhog. While Roadhog can heal himself, he's still just a big hitbox, giving you a lot of ult charge, and that's kind of it. So if you can just walk in and out of your shield, wasting a lot of his time, helping your team finish people off, go for that. Right there, XQC, I think, gets ulted, whatever. We're pushing up, we're following up. Even when we're, taking a ton of damage, we're still dealing any damage we can. I see a lot of people that just kind of wait until, like, the Zarya shield's down and don't really try to go after the people, the healers. We were still trying to do that. XQC is still trying to do the best he can. So there we go with that. I guess continuing from there, we also did see that, XQC jumped into the back line, tried to get a kill, didn't work out, got into low HP, and then used a health pack when he was about to die. That's a good strategy. If you have no healers up, get a health pack, get your healers more towards you from just letting them Guardian Angel to you, essentially, because there's always a Mercy this patch. And there you go. That'll help you out. Right there, we also did see that someone on our team got a pick. I think it was on the Reaper or something. So we just called out to immediately go in. If you do get a pick and you're in dive comp, you gotta call out. Okay, it was definitely not the Reaper. Also, right here, we could have probably ulted to save our team a little bit, but whatever. He wins the team fight anyways, so it's not way too bad. But yeah, you want to call out when people do get picked, because if you're up and you're dive comp, you almost instantly win that team fight, and that's something that you don't really want to throw away. And again, we see the Reaper does kind of counter us, but if we push up with our shield, we can just kind of overextend a little bit and then walk back, and then he has to kind of overextend to get next to us, and our teammates might be able to deal with him if they're playing decently well. And I guess finally, if you see a Reaper or McCree or anything, use your ult, tank those shots, and just kind of help your team in that way, as you are definitely a tank. Finally, I feel like you can play Winston with 3 DPS really well, so if you keep finding your team having 3 DPS every single game and you're not having way too much fun, pick up Winston. While it is much harder to play without a Zarya or a Roadhog or something else to kind of help you out, it is possible, and you are going to win a lot more games than becoming that 4th DPS. So, maybe go for that if you're trying to play the meta, and if you want to win some games, want to carry some stuff, that might work for you. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, make sure you leave a like, comment down below who you want to see in the next video, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see any more stuff like this in the future. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful day. I'd like to thank Gilded.gg for sponsoring this video and mainly helping me a lot through the adpocalypse. So, Gilded itself is a website focused on finding, founding, and expanding your gaming team with relative ease. You can schedule events, recruit new members, build team comps, and find teams to scrim with and to scrim against. Best of all to you guys, it's free. You can get started yourself with the link in the description below, and if you sign up by November 10th, you'll be entered into a chance to win a $50 Blizzard gift card. So, maybe I'll see you there.